Lucas, it's only been a week since we've been here on the Dan K Show, but it feels like forever. I missed you. How you been?
I've been good. Relaxing, taking time off from you.
From me? This guy's lying. This guy was at a wedding in Florida enjoying the sun while I enjoyed the cold and the rain of the Northeast. Missing this man. I kept my Lucas Jones picture in my wallet like I always do, and I keep the picture of the USPHL right here in my mind. We're going to have a ton of USPHL, ton of World Juniors coming at you, talking all things junior hockey. Lucas, I promised them all kinds of things, all kinds of junior hockey things this week, and I'm going to promise them 3 things like we do every week. It's the Dan K 3 things of the week, and my first thing, Lucas, is World Juniors talk. And the USPHL is talking up a big game, talking up a storm, because the USPHL has more active current players playing in the World Juniors more than any other American junior hockey league, more than the USHL, more than the NA, more than anybody else out there. The USPHL shining brightest, the stars have aligned, and they are ready to play worldwide. We're going to talk about them later in the show. Next up, how are you, Mr. Lemieux? And that's Austin Lemieux, coming up big like the capital of Texas, right? Austin, yeah, see? Geography major. I wasn't a geography major, but I could act like I know a little bit about it. Austin Lemieux with 39 points. He's tied for the lead. But my third thing, it's going to be a man who's no grouch or no slouch. It's the man who's tied with him from the Jersey Hitmen, Oscar Skloid, or Skoiled, however you want to do. But he ain't spoiled, and his goal scoring ain't spoiling, as he's got 11 goals this year, 28 assists, and he's tied with Mr. Lemieux for the league lead in points. A great start there. I'm excited the rest of the way to see this tit for tat between these two, see these two match up with each other. Lucas, who do you think comes out on top with the most points at the top of this league?
Oh man, it's a tough call. You have a couple of superstars battling it out for something like top points. You're just trying to break down what they can do individually. I got to go with Austin Lemieux on this one.
You know what, Lucas? I'm going to surprise you, because there's a man who's not in those two who didn't make my 3 things, but he ain't going to get tuckered out. He's going to go all the way through, and he stays forever. DeYoung, and that's Tucker DeYoung, Lucas, from the Jersey Hitmen. He's got 37 points, 13 goals, 24 assists. I think this young man's going to speed his way in there, and he just might pass the 2 of these guys for the league lead in points by the end of the year. I think he's the league leader in points, but I think between Skoloid and between Lemieux, I go Lemieux here. I think Lemieux's going to be the guy topping up Oscar and getting the Oscar for best point getter in the USPHL Premier. Lucas, we're the best hosts in hockey, right? We know that. We talked about how great the league is, how great the league is worldwide, how great we've done in World Juniors. Just how great are we? Let's talk about us for 1 second. Lucas, how great are we?
Well, I think we've had a pretty great year so far. I think it's the kind of thing where when we buckle down and we put the work in, there's nothing that we can't do. There's a guy sitting right here who, he's a stats guy, Oh, no, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about me.
Sorry.
He's a stats guy. He's all about defense. Every single week in and week out, he gets in there, he does the math, he breaks it down, he finds the trends to bring you, based on last year's selections, the most accurate picks for the playoffs. Isn't that right?
That's true, Lucas. It is true that you were most accurate, but it is not true that you're the most passionate about what you do, because that's what this guy is. I'm a passion player. I'm a guy who's going to get in front of the net and just steal a lot of goals away on deflections. You know what I mean? I'm putting my body in front. I'll get hit by a puck for the glory, for the score, and I get the goals, I get the stats, and you know what? I get us to the next segment, because there's no winning this argument, Lucas. You're too good at the picks, but you said at the beginning there, so far this year we've been great, right? But you know why you say so far? Because there's a second half of the season to be played, and that's where we're going next. We're getting to the second half of the year. Lucas, just kind of discuss some of the storylines you're looking forward to in the second half here. What are you looking forward to seeing from any of the levels here at the USPHL?
Well, Dan, I'm really excited by what I'm seeing down in the USP3. I've been talking about them all year. I broke down a couple of teams in the USP3 over the course of this year so far. You've got great competition in the North. You've got the top 3 teams at 34, 33, and 31 points. IHC, Hitmen, Whalers, respectively. Then you move to the South, and you have the still undefeated Florida Junior Blades with 54 points. But even once you get past the Junior Blades, you've got the Rush in second with 42 points. The Eagles in third with 41. And then you move to the Midwest, and you've still got even more competition there. It's the kind of thing that throughout all the levels of the league, there is such parity, and there is such competition, and there is such a high level of play that I think this is the division that you guys at home, and I think myself especially, is going to be keeping an eye on as we move through the season.
And we talk about keeping an eye on it. Let's just look down this schedule. The toughest part of the Florida Junior Blade schedule, this undefeated team, toughest part's coming up right now. Over these next few days, they're going to have the Palm Beach Hawks on December 11th. They're going to have the Hampton Roads Whalers on the road at a showcase here coming up. They're going to have Richmond Generals, Carolina Eagles. They have all 4 of those games against some of the top competition in that USP3 South. If they're going to go undefeated, they got to get over that test, right? They got to get past it. But if they do get through it, if they go 4-0 through that chunk, I think this is a team that could go all year without losing a hockey game. And again, knock on wood.
Yeah, absolutely. I have called against them in the past.
Yes,
I feel like I only get one more chance to say that they're going to drop a game. And so I'm going to hold on to that for now.
You got to hold it.
And I do just want to say that we went through the entire USP3 there, but I don't want to leave out the Pacific.
Yep. Yes, and you know what, Lucas, this is why I have my laptop here. It's how we go through it. But the Eugene Generals, 18-5-1 with 37 points. They stand atop that division. And for a while, it looked like they were going to run away with it. It looked like they might be the team to beat. They might be the team to go get it. But you know what? Coming out of that showcase there on the East, it looks like things have tightened up a little bit. Everybody's just coming to the East and playing has seemed to bring up the level of every one of these West teams, every one of these teams in the Pacific Division. And you see the Seattle Ravens now. They're flying back into it. 15-7-3. Who's that rapping on their door, on the doorstep of their Generals? It's those Ravens. And Lucas, just the chance of the Seattle Ravens. Do you think they got a shot to go take that division?
Well, I think they do. And I think right now the Generals are hearing the heartbeat under the floorboards. It's the kind of thing where, you sit on top of that division for a while and you keep playing stellar hockey. You almost don't notice what's happening down there. But, we have the score sheets. We follow the games. And we are watching those Ravens start putting together a lot of very impressive hockey. And another example of why I'm looking at the USP3 as we move forward.
Yeah, and we go into second halves. I think another second half to look at is just what happens in the 18U. And last year, Lucas and I went out. We saw the 18U, 16U finals, saw both of them out there in West Jersey. West Jersey, born and raised, playgrounds where we used to spend most of our days. But instead of chilling out, max, and relaxing all cool, we're going to talk about the 18U. And last year, shining stars at the division, Skipjacks Hockey Club, Junior Bruins, they were both the top of the best teams of that division. You see the North, led by the Bruins again with 24 points. You see the South, led by the Skipjacks with 24 points. Just who comes out on top. Look at the evenness in goals for and against. 28 against for Boston, 29 against for the Skipjacks. Boston's outscored them a little bit, but only by 11 goals. Lucas, who gets the best of that matchup? Do you think it's going to be these two again come down to the end of the season at the 18U?
Well, I think it is going to be these two again. I think these guys the teams are just incredible. There is a lot of competition in this league as well. You've got the Dynamo, the South Shore Kings, right underneath the Bruins in the north. You've got Pal Junior Islanders, Jersey Hitmen in the south. But if you're talking just Skipjacks and just Junior Bruins, I got to go with the Skipjacks on this one. I just think they've been playing some stellar hockey. They haven't been streaky. They've been extremely confident. They move through all these different games. I just got to say Skipjacks Hockey Club, in my mind, is going to take that if those two teams hold on to the lead and make it to the finals.
That's it. And I love what the Bruins do as an organization. I love what they do. But the Skipjacks, we watched them last year, and there is a different level that they put together. They are the USPHL's 18U, their 16U. Some of these divisions, these younger guys, the talent on all these teams is impeccable, right? It's great hockey to watch. The scouts come out in droves to see it. But when you look at the Skipjacks team, they take that to a whole nother level. You know, they take it to another step. They take it even higher than anybody else. And, you know, the guy I'm looking at, Hunter Alden. And Hunter's been hunting for teammates here. He's got 20 assists this year, 26 total points, 7 of those assists coming on the power play, and, you know, 1 shorthanded goal. So it shows he's not just the guy who's going to facilitate, right? He's a guy who can put it in the back of the net. It shows that he's playing well on the penalty kill unit, so he's playing both sides of the puck. He's playing all over the ice. This kid puts himself in the right place at the right time, finds a slot, shoots well from the slot. Hunter Alden is key. And, you know, I think this is one of the best teams in the country, the Skipjacks team, both at the 18 and 16U levels. I love watching Skipjacks hockey. Lucas, sum up the second half. What do you think is going to be just the overriding theme for USPHL hockey in the second half at all the levels? Do you have a theme for it? What do you think is going to come out of this?
Well, I think it's competition.
Yeah.
You know, pretty easily there is the word that I'm going to use because of how competitive things are right now. The fire that these teams play with, you know, we've been to showcases. We've seen what happens when these teams get together. Off the ice, they are best of friends. They're hanging out. They're talking. They're doing their warm-ups together. They're eating meals together. But then when they hit that ice, it is all business. And I've seen some intensity, some fire, some aggression come out of these kids in all levels of hockey that show me that they are gunning for that championship, whether they're in 5th or 1st. They have their eyes on the prize.
I mean, and you want to talk about eyes on the prize, one last talk here. And just because it's so good, I'm digging through my computer, digging through standings, and I look at the Elite South, and I see the Charlotte Rush at 23-4-1, and the Hampton Roads Whalers at 22-3-1, 47 points and 45 points respectively. I see a race like that coming down the stretch. You talk about competition. There's competition. There's two teams that, off the ice, best friends, on the ice, no love lost. These are rivals. Charlotte wants to make their presence known. Hampton Roads has owned the South for the last calendar year, and Charlotte Rush wants to rise again. They want to battle through, and they want to rush to the top of this division. They've done just that. These two teams have combined for over 300 goals scored. And that's not a team that's giving up goals. These two teams have combined to give up almost less than 100 goals. So a little bit over 100 goals. But this is a team that's scoring 3 times more than they're giving up. And you see these two squads play, and the style of hockey in the South, it's opened, it's fierce, it's free, and it is fun to watch. USPHL hockey is going to be fun to watch in the second half, but even more fun to watch is going to be the World Junior Championships coming up December 11th. We're talking about 8 of our USPHL's best and brightest who are going to be representing the USPHL and their countries in the upcoming World Juniors. Lucas, it's time to talk World Junior Championships, and with doing that, we remind you, Lucas, what was it again about the USPHL? They had a lot of something. They had a decent amount of something.
I think the most amount.
The most amount of something. And what was
It was the most amount of players participating in the World Juniors from any American junior hockey league.
Any American junior
all
hockey.
Of them.
So that's all.
All of them.
Every single one.
Here, and they're all... So that space under us.
So that's a big win for the USPHL right there. Those are all current hockey players from the USPHL playing in the World Junior Championships. We're stoked about it. We're stoked on it. And we're stoked to read to you some of the players that have been announced to the World Junior Tournament. You can follow along with them. There's going to be a World Junior blog like we had last year. Each player writing about their experience on the road in this beautiful tournament played in the beautiful country of Canada. I love Canada so much. I love Tim Hortons even more, Lucas. I order my Tim Hortons coffee online weekly because I got to keep the stock going and I got to keep the blood flowing. But let's talk about this group of guys. Let's talk about first, from my homeland, from Poland, the Polska man. That's Tomasz Skokin. And Tomasz has had a heck of a year for the Kalkaska Rhinos. And talk about really Polish names. Kalkaska, he's a Rhino, he's from Poland, and he's Tomasz Skokin. Tomasz Skokin, he comes from Coach Oliwa's system. So you know he's going to be tough, you know he's going to be hard-nosed, and you know he's going to battle against the boards. And that's something you don't see a lot in international hockey, you know. The ice opens up, the ice gets bigger, and you're going to see a lot more space to kind of carry the puck in. You're not going to see a lot of dumping of the puck. You're not going to see a lot of physical play. But this kid coming from the Midwest, just how much is that going to benefit him? That physical style of play he's gotten used to with Coach Oliwa, bringing that and translating it into international play.
Oh, I think it's going to work really well. You know, like you said, that particular international play is not very physical because the ice does open up. literally and figuratively because of the rink size.
Yeah.
And that kind of physical play, I think, can win him some individual recognition, because as it opens up, it's easier to see, literally, again, individual players. If he's out there skating around, making hits, stealing the puck, getting in people's faces, that is going to bode very well for him.
This guy is going to be great, but a guy who's going to be right there with him from Austria, playing for Austria, that's Moritz Matzka from the Okanagan Eagles. Lucas, before we talk about Moritz, let's talk about all the Okanagan Eagles. I'm going to run through them real quick. We've got from Bulgaria, Veselin Dikov from Bulgaria. He's going to have that Bulgarian battle going for him. And then going down to Denmark, you've got Albert Adamson in between the pipes and net, and Bram Klistjan for Belgium. The Belgian man. Hope he likes waffles as much as I do. I got about 6 of them as wedding gifts. About 6 waffle makers. I loved every single one just as much as the other. What about you? You love waffles?
Yeah, you made it sound like for a second you just received the waffles.
Oh, waffle makers.
Waffle makers,
I received a lot of waffle makers. Although it would have been weird if I got waffles as a gift, but I probably would have liked those waffle gifts. But let's go back to the gifts of waffle boarding in between the net of Albert Adamson. Now, just how good has Adamson been this year, Lucas? I'm going to dig into his stats right now. And, this is why you do things live, because you try to do things on the fly. But Adamson, he got himself his first win of the year this year. He got himself his first USPHL win. He's got 281 saves, 31 goals allowed, but he's got a .901% saves percentage. This guy's been formidable. It's a tough Premier League he's playing in. What's he going to be able to do for his squad out there in Denmark?
Well, I think he's going to be able to bring a lot of experience. He's got a decent amount of minutes inside the goal. He's made a ton of saves, and like you said, he's playing in a very, very competitive league. So I think when he gets that experience in between the pipes, and he's got the look. We often talk about how goaltenders have like a look about them when they're watching the entire ice. I think he's going to be able to bring that overseas, and it's going to work out really well for him.
Albert's going to have to he's going to have to be talkative in net. He's going to have to make sure he's vocal with his defensemen. This is going to be a game where you're playing with guys for the first time. And it's a lot of that vocality, a lot of that speaking, it comes from between the pipes, and that's going to be a big role to play for that Denmark team. The Danish goaltender Albert Adamson going to have to step up. Bram Klistjan, Bram. This guy puts the puck in the net when he needs to. I think at least a goal for the Belgian. In Bulgaria, I think Veselin's going to be great as well. I think Veselin's a guy who's going to be an assist machine, though. He's no goals, 3 assists this year. I think he becomes more offensive when this tournament starts. I think the USPHL Premier's a little more physical. It's been a little tough for this Okanagan team at times, just getting used to the physicality of it. When the ice opens back up, just how much do you think it's going to benefit Veselin and Moritz Matzka?
Well, I think it's going to give them a little bit more of the traditional style of hockey. Like you were saying, the Premier League is extremely physical. You go overseas, it opens up. I think what that does is it increases your on-ice vision. Yep. When you're not constantly fending off defenders, when you're not constantly trying to move the puck up the ice as you're being hit and being slightly hooked with sticks and having bodies in your way, when you can see the entire ice, that sort of hockey mentality, that hockey mind can actually go to work and try to figure out, a couple of different plays, maybe run a different scheme, maybe find your own way to the net.
Yeah, these are definitely players that are going to benefit from the new style. They're going to benefit from playing World Juniors. And I think we're going to see at least 3 goals out of the Okanagans combined, 2 assists. That's going to be my big-time Dan K prediction for the World Juniors. Now we got 3 more guys to go to. Let's talk Lithuania. Lithuania, a basketball-centric country, a country that fell in love with basketball during the Dream Team years, became huge at basketball, country with, last time I heard, less than 1 million people, Lucas, in the population. You can check me on that. We always do Donald Trump fact checks here on the Dan K Show. So we got Igitas Ragas, though, and he's coming out of the Richmond Generals organization. He's going to be all over the Igitas, which I imagine is Lithuanian for ice. Is that true?
I don't think we can prove that.
We can't prove it, but you can't prove most things that I say here as fact on the Dan K Show, and that's why it's named after me. When you have a show named after you, you can make up any facts you want as well. But good luck to him. I mean, he's been great for the Richmond Generals. I think he's going to be even better. Another guy who's going to benefit from that ice opening up. But the South, I think you see another guy from the South, the Hampton Roads Whalers, Andre Deniskin. And you see, these are guys that are already used to playing on open ice. You know what I mean? The South is a much more open game. It's a much more offensive game. I don't think the translation is going to be as beneficial. I think they're already ready for it. I think they're prepared for it already. I think that South style of play benefits them and plays really well into this World Junior style. But I think Deniskin is going to be the star of the USPHL. I think this is the guy. Write it down, seal it up, send it to someone. They'll probably ask you, why are you sending this to me? And you say, because Dan K said to. And they're going to probably go, who's Dan K? And then you'll explain to them later.
Tell them about the show.
Tell them about the show. Let them know. Let them know. Watch on YouTube.com and let them know. Tweet to me at Dan_Kemchek. But, Lucas, Deniskin, do you think he's going to be that good? Do you agree with me there?
This is one of the rare times that I am going to agree with you, Dan.
Yes.
Hampton Roads, we've talked to the coaches, we've met the coaches, we've met the team, we've seen the facilities that they play in, and it's just such a good organization, a good program. And like you said, the South already plays an open style of hockey, so he's not going to get any better because he's already there.
He doesn't have to be, and that's the best way to put it, because when the same way I said it, he's not going to get any better. It's not a bad thing because he's already there. Mm-hmm. He's already there, and he's going to keep improving. He's going to keep winning. I think he does great, and I think the Ukraine's going to be happy to have him. The Ukraine is not weak, as they would say in Seinfeld. Finally, the last man from the country of Estonia, and that is Valentin Sverdlov. And Valentin, it's going to be Valentine's Day when he gets out there. This guy plays with the Connecticut Junior Rangers. He's a small, quick, compact player out there on the ice, and I think he's going to battle and win a game for Estonia. I think Estonia grabs a win in this tournament.
Yeah, and I think he's one of those guys that's going to be the game changer.
Yeah.
And in the last segment we sort of talked a little bit about, facts and statistics and the on-ice stuff, and then you talked a little bit about the X factor. Yes. And I mean, sure, we talked about that in the context of ourselves, but I think that also is true very clearly in junior hockey, because you have guys that put up the numbers, they've got the good, goals and assists, they've got all the power play assists, they've got all their ducks in a row, and then you have guys that contribute on the ice in ways that you can't measure in statistics, and those guys are just as important, if not more important, to these types of teams, especially when you're pulling teams together from across different leagues. The guys that know where to be, know how to make the play happen, and know where to be in that situation. Very situational hockey, I think, is going to be his key to success.
You know what, Lucas? There's pros and cons to playing in the World Juniors. There's pros and cons to playing in any hockey league. But there's no pros and cons like Dan K Show's pros and cons. Coming up next, Lucas and I play a little game of pros and cons. Lucas, it's time for our favorite segment of all time that we haven't done once this year. Pros and
cons. Just for the record, I don't like this segment at all.
He doesn't like it. He gets upset. He gets sad. But I'm about to make him happy, because the point of pros and cons is I'm going to be the Mr. Positivity, Mr. Pro, make Lucas smile. And number one pro is this. And I know Lucas will like this one, because, you know what? He acts like he doesn't like me, so he's going to act like he likes this one. But I'm going to be going to Dublin for my honeymoon, December 17th through the 24th. So, Lucas, you're not going to have me to do the show with. You're going to be doing the Christmas show all alone. How do you feel about that?
I'd like to thank the Academy. I'd like to thank my mom, my brother. I'd like to thank Lena for agreeing to marry Dan and spend an entire week with him in Dublin. Lena, I can't thank you enough. You don't know how much this means to me. Thank you again.
But that's not a con. Okay, I guess we'll keep going. Double pro on that one. Pro number 2. We're going to go to the Jersey Hitmen in the Premier, Lucas. And this is a team that yet again is in position to win a title in the Premier in first place, the Jersey Hitmen. I mean, how could you not be happy about that?
I mean, we get it. Hitmen are good.
Ooh. Simple enough. Simple enough. Now we go to a commitment, an NCAA commitment. USPHL gets all kinds of commitments. So pro, USPHL has some of the highest commitments in the country, and one of them being Tim Decker of the Rochester Monarchs here. He's going to St. Michael's College. How exciting is that, Lucas? You can't possibly have a con when someone's getting commitments, when the league's getting commitments.
College is really hard. I mean, it's one of the hardest things you can do. It's just classes and tests and essays and then athletics on top of that.
That's the next step, though. That's what these guys do.
Yeah, I know, and we're all happy for them. But I just want to let them know that, I graduated college. You graduated college. It's hard. I hope you like coffee.
I think he's lying to you, because once again, let me just remind you what he just said. I graduated college. You'll make it. You'll be fine. He's going to do great. Everyone knows that, right? See, Lucas likes any pro that is Negative Dan. So we're going to go to one more pro here, and I'm going to think it up on the fly because the last pro is the Winter Classic coming up. The Heritage Classic. The USPHL's Heritage Classic coming up. I said Winter Classic. I'll be at the Winter Classic. But let's talk about the Heritage Classic, the outdoor game, the annual outdoor game for the USPHL. Second annual Heritage Classic, Lucas. Outdoor hockey in Chicago. Deep dish pizza. Fun times had by all. No way to be a con. No way to be a con. No way to be a con. No way. No way to be a con.
Dan.
Yes.
You know as well as I do
Yes.
that I have a bad knee, I've had surgery, 2 dislocations. Cold weather is horrific for your joints. You are intentionally bringing me to a place where I will feel pain and misery. Different pain and misery than when I come to the show with you. This will be a very physical, very specific pain. The grinding of joints with no cartilage in between them.
And that's what we call pros and cons. He brings the cons, I bring the pros, but what we bring you at the end of every show is the empty net. And Lucas, this week we weren't very Twitter sphere-ish. There was the holidays, you had Thanksgiving. We've been off Twitter a little bit. We're going to be jumping back on, and this weekend we're going to have all kinds of predictions for you on Twitter. So follow along. Tell us when we're wrong. We're going to be making a few fun little wagers on Twitter about who we think are going to win some of the biggest games in the USPHL. Lucas, for the empty net, what do you want to say to the people at home in the empty net? Oh, he's tweeting. He's saying...
No, I'm not tweeting.
Oh, so he's trying to say you're not tweeting to us.
No, I'm not trying to say that either.
Okay, he's not trying to say that. Okay. And it's 2 words? 2 words. Long syllable, double syllable, 2 syllables. What are you trying to say?
Guess you just wouldn't even know.
I don't like this. I don't like reading between the lines. It's why Lena is angry at me 99.9% of the time. When you get married, kids, remember, you're always wrong. And you know what, Lucas? You know who's not always wrong?
Is it you?
Yeah, me. I'm not always wrong. I'm always right. The Dan K Show is always right in the sweet spot for USPHL hockey. Keep watching USPHL hockey, fans and players, and keep waiting for Lucas's parting words. We'll never know what Lucas was trying to say while scrolling his phone. I'll try to find out after we're done. Maybe during credits we'll find out. I don't know. But this has been the Dan K Show, and remember, when Dan K is on the mic, it's always hockey night. And when Lucas Jones is next to me, I'm always having a great time, Lucas. It's been the Dan K Show. USPHL hockey. Keep watching. Yes.
Because I do graphics for these now.
Oh, dude.
Oh, yeah. Do you watch the show?
I watch the show, but I don't pay attention to the graphics, I don't think. I watch the show, man.
He doesn't watch the show, does he? He doesn't watch the show at all. I do all this work. I slave over a hot computer for hours making graphics.
He doesn't watch it at work.
For nothing.
Watch it here.
I watch the show.
God.
It's the Dan K Show. Right? Who's that Dan K guy again? I don't like him that much. See, when I watch it, I listen to him talking. I'm like, oh, he just rambles. He doesn't even know what he's talking about.